Welcome to Starving Universe On Call. I am Paul Franz, owner of Franz Games. I run SFU Online, FedCom Online, and Starfleet Warlord. Just a reminder how to join us for a talkcast every Thursday night starting at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time. You can get a call on the phone, just dial 605-562-0444. Just follow the directions. Call ID is 17702. Or you can participate on the web. Just go to the Talkshow website at www.talkshow.com and search for call ID 17702. Or you can also search for SFU On Call or Starfleet Universe On Call. You shall find us there. And of course, if you want the best online experience, you need to go to twitch.tv. Yes, twitch.tv. Twitch.tv/SFU On Call, and you'll find us there. And of course, if you need to contact me for any reason, you can email me at sfuoncall@gmail.com. It's sfuoncall@gmail.com. Also, if you want to, you can follow me on Twitter or X or whatever they're calling it this week. The podcasting account is SFU On Call. Big surprise. And my personal account is Paul Franz, PAULFRANZ. There's no T in that. And also the business account is the Franz Games account at FRANZGMES. Again, there's no T in that. And if you need this lovely talkcast, gets into a podcast available on iTunes and various other feeds around the net. Quick news from A to B. There is no news. It's been relatively quiet news-wise, but I know they've been working on, I think that, Patrick is still working on the Orion ship book. I forget what Cole is doing. I know he had some surgery like last week or something like that, or he was sick, I think, last week. But anyway, he's doing better, no problem there. And this for the found on the online store this week is the FNL Combined Operations 2021. It's only $29.95. This is the hard copy, which is available through them. Obviously the 4 different options that they normally have. And this is a combination. Combined Operations has more rules for Federation and Empire. It is newly improved and updated, have going through extensive review and discussion through Straticon 2021. All rules, questions from A to B Incorporated, BBS, and catalog issues have been addressed to provide the best experience for every empire. So that's now that's one of those things that is available. And of course, if you don't have a copy and you like F&E, definitely it's a product that you should have in your library. Some quick news. We have, of course, when it comes to SFB Online tournaments, there's just the one at the moment, which is Sapphire Crown Tournament, which I need to set up on the website. And forgive me, Mr. Petrick, I've been a little slacking in that lately. When it comes to Starfleet Warlord, actually, there's been a little work done when it comes to the website. I've been working on removing the outside authentication and adding it so that it actually is the internal authentication and so forth that was previously there with the old website, which is still up and running, still works. But the new one is going to have a different look. Obviously, if you want to look at it, you can look at it. You can't log into your account, but you can look at it. It's at play-by-e-mail.com. And you wonder why this is hard to say. Go to there, and you can see the new website. It says that you can't log in the account. You can't do the main things, which is log in your accounts to see your balance, add more things to your balance, or send initial orders. Those things are not currently functioning. Those will be functioning later on, but I'm working on that and just want to see what it looks like. That's what it looks like. And moving on to the library report, no progress there. I haven't got any updates from Frank. And also, there's still a couple of FODCOM things that I need to work on. Actually, I needed Steve Cole about a question which was given to me many, many months ago, and I apologize for not getting around to doing that. So, that is news for this week. And it's me, yes, the one Paul from welcoming you to Starfleet Universe On Call. And tonight, who do we have? We have Doug. Say hi, Doug.
Hi, Doug.
And we have Jeff. Say hi, Jeff.
Good evening.
So lovely evening. Even though we're starting a little late, sorry about that for those folks who are listening to us live. Definitely who were waiting in chat room for like possibly up to 5 minutes in the past 5 minutes, going, "Where in the heck is Paul?" Well, I'm here now. There, okay. Now, my iPad is set up for actually being my monitor, which is telling me, okay, this is what you're actually what you guys are seeing. And yes, for those of you who haven't listened to me for enough time, I currently have a computer with one screen. I have a very small office. I don't have room enough to have multiple screens and have it so I actually can walk around this office, because the office is for two things. It's for my day job and it's for podcasting. That's the only two reasons, and there's two different locations for each. Got for you on the video, but it's behind me. You see a computer screen, not the one, not over here. That is the TV that's in here that my son uses for playing his PS3. And then if you go that way, you'll see the monitor of the computer for work. Two different locations, and so it's a very small office. So, so I don't have room for having a two monitor system for recording. So, in the meantime, that's why I use my iPad as my little monitor to tell me, okay, this is what you actually look like, and if you're seeing it, tell me if I'm really screwing up. Because otherwise, I would have OBS up on this system, which is my main computer. I'd have it on another screen, so I can look over there and go, oh yeah, that looks good, and just have it so that it records this screen. No. So, anyhow, now that I got that out of the way, just for those Starfleet Warlord fans out there, because I know there's at least one of you, because he actually mentioned it on Facebook, because he said, "Oh, you got to talk about Starfleet Warlord more often on the podcast." It's like, well, reminder: when we talk about a topic, come and join us and say, "Okay, we need to talk about this topic," and I'll talk about the topic. That's an easy way. You want a really easy way? Email me at sfuoncall@gmail.com. It's sfuoncall@gmail.com for a topic that you want me to cover. Please, I'd be happy to cover that topic within reason. There's some topics I will not cover. Obviously, it has to be related to SFB, or at least, one of the Starfleet SFU products, or licensed products, because in theory, Starfleet Warlord was not created by ADB. It's licensed. It was the background material was licensed by Bruce Grawl. Right now, the person's licensing it is me. Just like SFB Online. SFB Online is actually licensed from ADB, even though, don't tell Paramount this, I don't work for ADB. Because they're not allowed to sub-license. That's what it is. So,
Careful.
I know.
You just said something.
I know. Well, I don't think that we listen. I heard nothing. I don't think there are many people that actually would. Now, if I posted that, in written word on my website, I'm sure I probably will get in trouble somewhere there. Because Lord knows, there has been way back when, I got threatened that they would sue me back in the day. And actually, no, I didn't get threatened. Patrick Abrams got threatened. At that time, I was just working to run it. I didn't own it. SFB Online. I wasn't the proprietor. I was just the person who ran it. And because of that, then Patrick got notified that, oh, there's images on your website which Paramount finds offensive. Basically, they thought it was violating copyright. It's like, okay, well, we started pulling files. It's like, okay, pull this. No, it's still not good enough. Okay, pull some more. It's like, okay, I think they stopped squawking. Okay, I think you got it. They wouldn't tell us what was the link, what was whatever, so that we knew what we needed to pull. So we had to guess.
That's not the way they typically work. The way they typically work is they tell you they have a problem that they can force you to a solution, and they expect you to basically just roll over and take everything down in order to make them happy.
Right. Well,
because that's basically what they want, is they want it to go away.
Yeah. Well, it was a threat because of, if we didn't, then they'd pull the license from A to B. So I did everything that I could possibly do, which is and most of these, there are certain ones we knew we weren't violating, so we left them up. Things like pictures of the SSDs, pictures of a game board, picture of the client itself. Stuff that we knew, we left those up because, one, otherwise some website would look really weird. And so we played the guessing game of what could possibly. So we finally rolled it down to, we had we have 3 packages of alternate counters, which we allowed people to download it and install and use those instead of the normal counters. And one of those packages of counters, if we figured we guessed that, okay, it was the counters, so we pulled the counters, and after we pulled the counters, then they were happy. Now, I'm willing to bet I know what set of counters it was. It wasn't we got from Les LeBlanc. That looked really nice, but unfortunately, I'm not saying they violated the copyright, but they look so good they might have. Not quite sure.
Mm-hmm.
But
how can you send them a letter that says be more specific?
Yeah. Well, next time.
Unfortunately, when you're dealing with people
what
with,
you said is vague.
Yeah. Unfortunately, unless you've got the financial ability and attorneys to forestall a bunch of legal maneuvering, you send them a letter like that. The next thing they do is they tell you you've got to show up in the Santa Barbara courtroom for a show cause hearing.
Oh, good guy. Let's not go there. I really don't feel like talking about legal shit right now.
Understood.
For personal
Sorry
reasons.
about that. No offense intended.
No, none taken.
Oh yeah, none taken. It's just that. I kind of have an idea of how to deal with these kind of jerks, and that's basically it. I'm not going to spend the podcast talking about my personal life.
Because we get, as I mentioned, I think
very reasonable.
Call about on Saturday if I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very reasonable.
Paul, we talked about this at the podcast.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We started talking about it last week.
Yeah, they're the Paramount's bullies. They're just bullies. At the end of the day. So, speaking of
typical Hollywood,
or not Star Trek, but SFB stuff. I had a question for you.
Shoot.
And without possibly violating any licenses, I was trying to think of what would be a good thing for a prize on Saturday for Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
Like we could make a hat, certificate, something for a tournament prize.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
And what I was thinking about saying is, if it wasn't too far out of your way, if you wouldn't mind going by a craft store and picking a couple things up, I could work on it during the day, on Saturday or Sunday, and have like a nice little hat done up for like the winter.
Hmm.
If that might be interesting.
Yep.
Something simple
Hmm.
and not too violating of like copyright bullshit. So there's that.
Hmm.
If that would interest you, I mean,
Yes.
because like Michaels and other places like that have like these. You go in and look for them. They have like blank hats
Right. Right. Understood.
that they're meant to be
For
painted
embroidery.
or dyed or whatever.
Hmm.
Yeah, you can do embroidery on them. You can do
Yeah.
whatever you want. But basically, they're kind of like blank canvases,
Hmm.
and they're usually like $4 or $5, like back in the day. And I'm sure it's like $5 or $6 by now. Who knows? I have no idea.
Probably a little more, but doesn't
But
matter.
that, and something to use. Maybe bring a newspaper with you so I can throw that down on the table, and we can talk about that later if you want.
Hmm.
Like give you a short list of stuff to pick up from an arts and crafts store.
Yeah, I think that'd be great. Obviously, absolute worst case scenario, we could have like a gift card. Though I think your idea is much better of an idea. Something's more SFB-ish, kind of a pride thing.
Ooh.
I think that would.
Can you say
would,
that again? I have a sweetie and 2 kids. I like hearing stuff like that.
Oh, that you have a good idea. Your idea is better than mine. That kind.
There you go. Oh, that was so good. You made my ego feel so much better.
Understood. Been there, done that. But yeah, as I said, I think that's a much better idea when it comes to just something the person can have, and for pride. That hey, I won this tournament, and this is the proof, not just a little gift card. Like okay, yeah, that's great and all. I can spend the money and buy something cool, but it's I know proof that I won. I actually won it. That kind of thing. Like when you go on when you do bowling and
Like
you win the bowling league, you get the little trophies. Yeah, those trophies are probably cheap as all get out, but you have the trophies to prove, hey, we were in first place.
Kind of like the old gold hats.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but we won't call it that because
Right.
Of course not. Because reasons. Right.
Platinum hat maybe.
No, that's actually that was a thing too. Platinum hat was actually another thing.
Gamers of Summer 2023 champion, something like that.
You can call it the polymer hat.
Yeah, I was thinking about avoiding that sort of thing.
Oh, okay.
But it could be like the gamer's hat, something. If you think of a nice name later, that's fine too, I guess. With that.
Yep. The important thing is to have some kind of design on the cap.
Mm-hmm.
But
so there you go. That was my big thought for the day.
Okay. Well, I think
that.
I think it's a great idea. I will see if I can stop by Michael's tomorrow. I should have time during my lunch break.
Yeah, and if they're super cheap,
mm-hmm.
maybe get like a handful of them. So, like, if I screw one up horribly,
yep, agreed.
It can be a learning experience.
Agreed.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely. Is there anything that you need to work on it, like paint or whatever? Just text me, email me. Please don't use Facebook. Just because
okay.
That means I have to either log into my computer to remember, or I have to hopefully notice that it's on my iPad. Because I don't have Facebook Messenger on my phone.
So text you a thing.
I hate any Facebook app. Period. So.
That's fine.
I'm still kind of miffed at them because they used to have a groups app, so you didn't so you could actually can manage your groups using an app, which actually wasn't great, but it wasn't bad. But then they went, okay, no, we no longer have a groups app. If you want to manage your groups, you have to use the actual Facebook client itself.
Well, yeah, they want to make sure your eyeballs are on their ads, not somebody else's.
Well, no, it's still there. The thing is, the groups, you didn't have ads, which I think it was the point. That that's why they got rid of it. It's like, oh, we're not getting any money from people managing their groups. It's like, really? You're really gonna do that?
I know, you bastards.
Yeah.
They're killing our revenue, you bastards.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Let's not get started because of currently I got rid of the Reddit. The Reddit app sucks. It absolutely is the worst. Just because it kept saying, "Oh, you might like this, you might like this, you might." No, it's like no. I don't want them. I just want my feed. I want what I like and nothing else. Don't give me suggestions or say I might like this. No, I want my few little subscriptions and leave me alone in my little own world. And they killed third-party app support. Basically, they said, "Oh well, if you're going to download our data, you need to pay us." I was like, "Why?"
Never mind the fact that they basically just violated the ADA to do it.
Yeah.
But it was because, hey, we want you to use our client because our client's the best because the contractor said so, and
I think it was more along the lines of they wanted to be paid for the other people using the data from their app, mainly because of things like Chat GPT. That was basically
that makes a certain amount of sense too. But the problem with even that is that they could have come up with better ways to deal with it. It was
right.
It was basically saying these are our servers. If you want to use them, you'll have to pay, and we want to set the rates so high that you won't want to use them.
Right, exactly. For, at least it's not viable for small third-party developers to use them.
Yep.
So it is what it is. So I still log in to Reddit like once a week or something like that. But I'm one of those people that I'm not looking for a smooth experience. I'm more concerned about security than I am about other things. So if it's rough going, I don't care. This means I don't go as fast. Is that a problem? No, that's not a problem. So I have Firefox up and I put no script on that, so it blocks brings up Reddit. So I then have to say, oh, let Reddit actually run its JavaScript from Reddit, and so forth, and different ones. Oh, Google? No, block Google. Because that's one of the websites they download stuff from is Google. And it's like, no, remove Google. And I think that as long as I just stick to everything that's on Reddit, the web page works fine, and that's fine. Of course, the funny part is, I noticed one thing: I don't see any ads because I block all this other stuff. I don't see ads on Reddit. So it's like I don't get any money from me being a user. So it is what it is.
Anyhow.
Yeah.
So are you guys ready for?
Though Reddit is SFP related, because there is actually a SFP subreddit. So we do have one there. So it is related tangentially. So what is it, Jeff? I'm sorry.
Oh, I was just going to ask you if you guys were ready for the event. What was it, next weekend or is it this weekend?
This weekend.
This weekend.
Mm-hmm. Dropped off.
Yeah, relatively.
I dropped off all of the copies of the SSDs. The one thing I did not put in that bag, I did not put counters, and I didn't put writing utensils. I realized that after halfway to your house, I realized I didn't put any counters. Like, well, they can probably make do before I get there.
Whoops.
So for everybody listening who may not know, next week at Gamers of Summer in Harrisburg, we're having not next week, this weekend.
This weekend, as in September
Saturday,
2nd,
we're having
3rd, and 4th.
a Swiss-style double elimination tournament
Yep.
for Starfleet battles.
Mm-hmm.
And Paul has dropped off most of the stuff we need to play. So if you're coming out for it, please bring your set with you.
Yeah. Mainly
So you have
bring
counters.
Yeah, bring
maps.
you can bring your there are maps in there. There's four maps that are in that bag.
Yeah.
There's EAs.
Yay.
There's copies of the SSDs. There's impulse activity. Not impulse activity, but the impulse thing, and damage allocation chart too. So everything to
and
play.
you'll be bringing all the rest when you
right.
You'll be bringing the rest when you get there then.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I forgot to bring counters. I forgot to bring writing utensils. Writing implements.
Right, but you'll have those on Saturday.
Yes.
And just to let people know who are listening, and plan on attending, aside from the fact that we're having the tournament on Saturday, Paul will be running a little bit late getting there on Saturday.
Right.
But I'll set up the thing and get you guys started. So everybody who brings stuff to play with will have a leg up on people who may not. So
and also,
maybe share a little bit till Paul gets there with like the rest of the stuff. But I'll have the SSDs.
Yep.
And we'll get you guys started.
Yep. And Doug, do you have in front of you the location information?
It's at the Red Lion Hotel off of Eisenhower Boulevard. I don't have the name of the place or the street right off the top, but I can have that up in just like a second here. Make sure I have the right thing here. Okay, Red Lion Hotel will be in the Lancaster Room, 4751 Lindell Road, Harrisburg, PA 17111. 4751 Lindell Road. Now, if you go to like gamersofsummer.net, the address is right there on the front page of the site. The Lancaster Room, when you walk in the front door of the venue of the hotel, you'll see like the lobby, and there's like a kind of a hallway towards the right that you can go down. It's down that hallway, so very easy to find.
Yep.
And that's basically it. They a minor footnote for everybody who's been to past events of ours, they'll actually have an ATM like right outside the door in that area. For those of you who bring your card and no cash, you can get cash out of the ATM because we don't take cards for the event, so to speak. But if you haven't pre-registered, that's okay. We will take cash at the door. That's basically it. Yay.
Cool. Oh, by the way, Doug, at some point, you really should abbreviate the copyright notice at the bottom of the page. You're listing out every year one at a time.
Abbreviate.
You should be able to say copyright 2008 to through dash 2023, and that should cover it.
But how am I going to remember when I first started the thing?
You'll see 2000. You'll see 2008.
Okay, I'll try and do that by 2024 or 2025.
That would be nice. Because it's getting kind of long. I can't imagine actually trying to view that website on my phone. The bottom of the page would just be so thick of just numbers. But anyway,
maybe it'll be like 2008 through 2025.
Yeah, that was the point. I've dealt with that enough in my day job. Where actually we automate the creation of the documentation for this one thing, And one thing I added a few years ago, which is previously I every single year I go and update what the current year is, and so that the generated documentation actually would do that. Well, I finally a couple of years ago finally said, okay, this is enough. I've been doing this for the past 10 years. I really should sit down and actually automate this whole stupid thing. Just to say, okay, generate the current year. Boom. So I did it the one time, and I've never had to update it since. So it's like saves me time at work. All of what? It's like 15 minutes each year, something like that. But hey, one less tedious thing to do. But anyway, as I mentioned, this for those people who are live, you probably haven't heard this, or those people that actually already are listening to the news portion first, and then listening to this, i.e., it's actually the put together post-recorded edition of this wonderful podcast. And that is that I mentioned in the news portion, which is that I have been actually working on the Starfleet Warlord, the new website. I've been ripping out the old, okay. I'm trying to return back to the old way of doing the authorization for the website. I think it's authentication. I get those two confused. And that is, I was trying to move towards an outside model so I could limit what I needed to maintain locally. And I decided, I was working towards getting it so that, I could implement that. And there was that one piece that I just could not really sit down and focus and work on. And I just went back to the old way, which is, that's one thing I'm working on right now, which is to, on the new website, restore the old mechanism for authentication, i.e. I manage the account. I don't have a third party actually managing the account. So that will save time. What I'll probably do is I need to go to that service and shut it down, and so forth, because I don't need their service anymore. In which case I'm one of those people that if I have an account and I don't use it, and I'm not going to use the website again, I prefer to go in and delete the account, because I hate having these miscellaneous accounts laying all over the place, having my information, and more importantly, possibly having my email address, and then possibly using that to do all kinds of authorization and hacking things that I just prefer not to have to deal with. So hopefully
So basically you want to take your data and go home.
Yeah. Basically.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And
Nothing wrong with that at all.
Yeah. I actually got it so that I actually could automate a lot of the stuff using the service, and it worked. It was working fine on that category. But as I said, I never got that one piece, which is the signups, because the problem is the one issue that I think would be a problem using a third party management, and I'd never thought through how to figure this out, which is signups. Because what happens is to me it's a very jarring experience. And that is that what would happen is that you say, okay, create a new account, and then it would bounce you to a new website, which then you would create an account on their website. I get notified that the account was created, and then it would go through that process. So then it would come back to me. But to me, that would be a very jarring process. Because you expect it that, okay, when you create an account, unless you say, oh, I want Google, or I want to connect this up using Facebook and doing something really dumb. I'm sorry. The whole idea of using a third party like that system where you log into Google to log into your website, or you log into Twitter, X, or whatever you want to call it this week. or you want to use Facebook or anything like that to handle the authentication on your website is dumb. Because
It's also a vector for allowing someone else to apply terms and conditions to you that you might not wish to be applied to.
yep, because the obvious there's multiple problems the way I see it. One, you're letting someone else know where you're logging in and therefore giving them more information. Number two, when it comes to those ones, if you ever decide to delete your account with those services, you've just any service that you use them to connect into, boom, you've lost access to. Flat out. Honestly, I don't. The one thing I do not know how much information that the service that you are authenticating or using Google or whatever to authenticate to use, how much information they store. Is it just your email address and some token, or what it is? I've not looked into that part of it. But
From what I'm to understand, it's supposed to be a token, and it's supposed to be an anonymized token, which has to do with the reason why they go to two-factor to sign you in, but you're not using. If it's kind of like the way PayPal works, you go to their server, you confirm on their server sends a token back going authorize OK.
right. So, but the thing is, if it's just an authorization token without any other information, but it has to be something additional to denote account, because an authorization token, it just tells you that you're authorized to access this thing, and at any time if you invalidate that token on the service, then you're no longer connected. But there has to be
most of the services that I use that use Google as an authentication setup will turn around and require you to submit your email address as part of sign up.
right.
And that way, if you lose access to Google, you still have a backup means to restore access to your account. But other than that, all they're really looking for is, okay, this person with this user ID went to this third party for verification, and the third party said, yes, it's who they say they are.
Right, which is
I don't think it's anything more than that. But the
Right.
thing is, Google has made a business model out of mining data for connections nobody's thought about before.
Yep, exactly, and that's another reason for for Google, Facebook, and Twitter /X/ whatever. So basically, so you're telling me that you actually have to also tell them what your email address is, possibly the email address like for your Gmail account or whatever other account you want, other email address you want to use, to connect it up in another fashion, which means that if you don't, and you if that website doesn't offer that backup portion, then in that case, you won't know the person's email address. In which case, that if you ever delete like the Google, Facebook, or Twitter account /X whatever, then your account's gone. If you paid for it, well, sorry. Now, even if it's paid for, the question is how much information is given to you when you pay it. Because it could be multiple ways which don't give out any information except for your payment information, in which case you still might not know the name of the person or the email address or anyway contact them, depending upon if you're using a third-party service.
Unfortunately, a lot of people like to use this kind of thing because if they're using a third-party payment processor, they themselves don't have to keep good records on how they handle user data, user financial data, and there's a lot of things. There's a lot of laws that tend to change around that. Even hanging on to user data right now is a pain in the neck.
Yeah, that's one thing I've been doing my best is to keep the amount of user data that I actually keep on board very limited. That's why for like the signups, after each signups for like the Sapphire tournaments, after each I keep them for the duration of the tournament and then I delete them. Because that's one thing that people give because it's part of what's required for having a Radius tournament. You have to give your address information. So that's stored for the duration of the tournament. After the tournament is ended, that information is then deleted from my service. And if you ever looked at the privacy statement for SFU Online, you will see that. Because that's one thing I did my best to do, which was both. I have to check to see if I added for play by email. I'm pretty sure I did. Starfleet Warlord, which is putting out a privacy creating a privacy page, saying, okay, this is what I collect, this is what I do with that data, and I do nothing else with that data. For example, I have the address information for people for Starfleet Warlord. Now, the only reason I would ever use it, one, I never give it out. I never give it to third parties. Except for in the case of, as I said on SFB Online, the only time I ever give out address information to a third party, i.e. ADB, is because it's a requirement as part of being a player in that tournament. And so I'll pass it on to them because of that requirement. But that's the only place I give, that's the only third party I give people's information to. And I'm pretty sure I explicitly mentioned that on SFB Online privacy page. And as I said, with Starfleet Warlord, I don't give it to any third parties. ADB doesn't know anything about you guys, who's part of Starfleet Warlord. I have your contact information plainly for the reason of payment. Because they can run turns, and you guys can owe me money. And if you owe me money, I need a way to contact you to say, hey, you owe me money. Whether obviously start with email address. If at some point, that they kind of quote unquote disappear on me and they owe me money, then I'll have to do is I'll actually have to do a physically registered, like a registered piece of mail sent to the person's address. If that kind of thing. I've never had to go that far, and I'm fortunate for that. Usually people are very good about keeping up to date in their accounts. They might fall behind by like $20 or something, but I let most of them. Most of the players I know that even if they get they dig a hole, they will pay off their debt. So I've yet to have anyone actually owe me a lot of money and then just leave town, that kind of thing, quote unquote, leave town. Even the people who say I'm going to stop playing Starfleet Warlord, I don't have time for it anymore. If they owe me, they usually pay up their debts and then go on. Man, yeah, one of those was Anthony. I think it was Anthony. Yeah, Anthony. And some really long last name began with a Z. He was one of the old veterans, So, anyhow, so that's what's going on with Starfleet Warlord when it comes to the website these days. As I mentioned in the news portion, you can visit the website. And actually, why don't I do that right now? Let me bring up. Hold on. So the thing I also worked on today was make sure the certificate was all set up. So give me a sec here. And I'm sure I've shown this before on the podcast, which is this is the new web. It's new.play-by-e-mail.com. The reason why that's not one word is because someone else owned that domain when I first started out, and I I forget if I actually bought it or not. I might have bought it and redirected it to this. But anyway, this is what the new website looks like. It's easier to I have more control over it. It's based on a generator called Jekyll. This one, yeah, the username and your password. I'd really like to see if I can somehow shrink this a bit because that's just a little big. But right now that does not work. I worked on a little bit on the back end, so they should be able to work. I just have to look to see what am I doing wrong when it comes to the JavaScript that I wrote for the UI, because I'm not the greatest HTML, JavaScript, CSS person. I can fumble along, but yeah, see this. If you ignore this one because this is old. See, this is back with Die Hard 5051 and Standard Game 92. That's no longer the case when it comes to current games, but the game's archive, it is up to date with all the latest final maps. Like the final map for Die Hard 53, this is what it looks like. So those maps are all there. Got the downloads, got the old aid, the Windows based aid, got the one for the Mac OS, got the DOS based aid. Here's also, everything that was on the download page from the previous one. There's even the convention flyer, which I need to add. Nope. Let me look at these. Wow. I need to work on this because this looks like it's missing the downloads. So don't try click on the downloads. The downloads don't exist. I don't know why. But I'll figure that out. And don't for the downloads. But this looks better than this one, which is kind of older. Yeah. There it is. See, there I add the privacy statement, which is when you sign up on this account, we collect your email address to notify you when news about the website, including new games, and changes to the website, including maintenance. And when visiting the website, I gotta fix that. When visiting the website, your interactions may be tracked to improve the website at a future time, i.e., the only thing that's quote unquote tracked, one is your IP address. So I might at some point actually look at the log files and go, here's the IP address, bump, 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 bump. Okay, let's see what web pages are being hit the most, and possibly have an idea of maybe where people are going on the website. I do not do fine-tune tracking, i.e., okay, where is the person, where's their mouse? Are they hovering over something, and then go click on something else? I don't do that really heavy analytics. Heck, I don't even do the analytics, as I said, at a future time, and I do mean that, at a future time. Currently, I don't actually review the logs, the access logs, to know where you went on the website. Want to? I can look at, okay, this, you hit this web page, you hit this web page, you hit this web page, blah 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 blah. That and that's an IP address. Does it tell me who that person is? No, it does not. It tells me what your IP address was. If you're using a VPN, obviously it's an IP address for that VPN server. If it's your IP for your actual home, still, I don't know, was it your computer? Was it your daughter's, your son's, your dog's? Don't know what computer it was. I don't track that kind of information. Now, I do a minor bit of information when you log into my account. I put in a cookie because that's how it works, so that I know that you logged in. but as soon as you wipe the browser cache, it no longer has that information. So that's stuff that I don't store, I don't maintain, I don't track. So, and I'm small enough that if the European Union was actually I'm too small for the European Union to come and track down my butt and sue me.
Well, there's a simple way to deal with it. Put in your terms of service that you have to either not live in the European Union or agree not to insist on your rights under the European Union.
Yes, or you can do what a lot of websites do, which is, okay, let's bring up. Sorry. I forgot. I put that in there, which is there's. I'm not sure if you saw it or not. There was a little pop up here saying, "Oh, agree. We have cookies on your that
Stack
track you."
Overflow?
Yeah, you know Stack Overflow, right?
Yeah, I'm familiar with Stack Overflow. I'm just curious why you're showing it up.
Because I was trying to show off the little pop-up message that they have on their website saying, "Oh, we track you with cookies. What kind of cookies? What kind of tracking you allow us to do?" So there's a lot of websites that have that little thing. So much so that there are multiple extensions. In this case, Ghostery has a way of actually it actually will have it so that it'll automatically turn off, say, okay, no, this, I don't agree with any tracking and so forth. You can have it set up that way. Me, I don't say anything, but like I said, in the privacy policy, I say, this is what I do. Very, very,
Right.
very, very simple. SFU Online has the same thing. Go on the bottom of the page. It should be there, right? Dun, dun, dun. Is it about? Okay. FAQ maybe. Yep, there it is. Where's your privacy policy? There it is. When visiting the website, your interaction will be tracked to improve the website for future use again. When you sign up for a tournament, a subscription, we collect your email address to notify you of your subscription and when you expire, and to announce events that will occur that you might be interested in, any maintenance change to the site or service. And when you sign up for a tournament, your address is requested as a requirement for rated Ace tournaments by Amarillo Design Bureau. Your address is only kept for the duration of the tournament and is removed after the tournament is ended. So that is the privacy policies for my services.
Seems perfectly reasonable.
Yeah, I might want to add one other line, which as I mentioned before, which is I don't give your data to third parties. I don't do that. I don't trade in email addresses. I don't trade in mailing addresses. I don't do that kind of stuff. I will not. That's why at one point I actually did have on this one, I actually had some links to like Facebook and Twitter, and I went, no. Yeah, I finally realized that was a dumb thing. I really shouldn't have it on there, because of one of the things that I personally believe in is privacy on the internet, as in limit. I have it so that I'm not a agent of tracking you even more. Now, that brings up an interesting question, which is, Jeff, have you ever heard of topics?
Yes,
Meaning
in general.
well, okay. topics as it relates to Google Chrome and what Google's trying to implement to replace third-party tracking.
No, I'm not as up to date on that as I should be. I have heard of it. I just not familiar with it.
Okay. Basically, the idea being behind this is that it will give advertisers an idea of what kind of websites you're interested but disallowing them having so that you cannot be tracked over the internet. So you can't be what's the term? Fingerprinted. So they know who you are, basically.
Right.
Because normally, the whole idea of anonymization is, at the best, the idea is mishandled because it's hard to really truly anonymize data without losing some of the actual information that lets you do correlations. So the idea of topics is to get rid of the third party support for third party cookies, which are used for tracking across the internet. And Google Chrome is going to implement what's called topics, and the idea is that you for each website that you visit, there are certain topics that people of that website are showing an interest in. Like, for in the case of SFU Online, one of the topics might be board games. That might be a topic. Or for, or you go to, let's say, Amazon shopping. Some generalized topics. The idea is that not shouldn't be tracked. But the question is that still gives advertisers an idea of what kind of topics that you're interested in. So it gives the advertisers an idea of what you like. So so the ads can't be truly anonymous. But if you really think about it, the advertisers should be targeting based on the website that they're on, not on the person who's viewing them. Because normally the website that they're on gives them a better idea of the topics that are going to be covered or the interest of that person. The only time that might not be the case is, of course, things like Reddit, where the topics are very varied and so forth. But the idea is that websites themselves can say, okay, these are the topics that are people that visit my website are interested in, and then the advertisers are supposed to be able to use that to advertise outside of that website, so you can go other places, and the advertisers can say, oh yeah, you might be interested in this one. It's like, okay. But the question is,
you can't really get away from that these days.
Yeah, and the question for me is, do I want to advertise topics? Or do I want to be one of those people that says, no, you're going to get no information about my website when it comes to what is the general interest for people going to my website, and therefore giving up information about the people who visit my website. That's the gotcha. That's one of those things that might end up being, that's a topic. It's not a topic for discussion here, but it's a topic that I'm gonna have to roll over in my mind. Do I want to do that, or do I want to say, okay, no, you can't. I'm not going to give you any information. I'm not going to help you in any way, shape, or form to do this. Obviously, one of the big people about that is EFF, the Electronic Freedom Foundation. So they're against about any tracking whatsoever everything should be completely anonymous. Of course, the worst thing in the world, and it probably is the case, was the invention of cookies. That without cookies, the whole idea of tracking people across the internet is, to say the least, unviable.
It's a lot harder anyway. Yeah, cookies came around because of a need to turn the internet into something it was never designed for. Originally, the internet was designed as a means by which a server could beacon what services it offers and look for routes to other sites that could offer other services. The idea that the internet would rebuild itself after a nuclear exchange, say, or some other disaster that would
Getting a whole bunch of feedback.
Anyway, the short version is that it was designed to rebuild its links. And when they decided that they wanted to start storing data, the URL strings got too long.
Yep. As it is at the very beginning of times, the URLs were never meant to be human readable.
Nope.
Geez, back in the day, they had actual like cards, like little index cards to say, okay, this is the website and this is the IP address. The actual assigning of IP addresses to websites was a manual process that you had one person who actually just did it, maintained it, back in the very beginning of time. So to say the very least, we've come a long way.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, as soon as cookies came about, then you had the commercialization of the internet.
Well, you're going to have the commercialization of everything these days.
Yeah.
I still remember Usenet before spam killed it.
Oh. Yeah.
This is why we can't have nice things.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh, amen. I agree there, because the problem with any tool is people will always find ways of making it malicious. Something simple as a hammer.
We are literally a species that we're literally a species that will weaponize everything, including string. So there you go.
Yep. Hey, you can use string to kill people.
Exactly.
Gotta love it. On that happy thought, actually, I think we will wrap it up with that. With a little discussion on privacy and the privacy policy of my websites. Since we went that far down that rat hole, which, hey, if it still was SFU related, it just happened to be talking about privacy policies of my actual websites themselves. So, still related. So, anyhow, Jeff, it was wonderful to have you around. You take care, man.
Good night, everybody.
Doug?
Hi, Jeff.
You lasted. You stayed here the whole time. Yay.
Yay! Thank you.
You didn't drop.
I hope to see you Saturday, along with hopefully a whole bunch of other people at Gamers of Summer at the Red Lion Inn.
Yep.
In Harrisburg, PA. Thanks.
Yeah, come join us, one and all. Okay. Good night. So, hello. Variety of topics there. Obviously, the gamers tournament. I think that's a good one to start off with. Something simple. The gamers tournament, which is in this case SOB related. Anyhow, and got to discuss a little bit about the privacy policies of my websites and why I do what I do. It comes to that, and of course, hopefully the new Starfleet Warlord website will be completed in the next. I will say, if everything goes according to plan, I can be done in a couple weeks, or I can be done if I run into some issues, possibly a month. Could be take a little longer, depending upon if I get sidetracked from other issues. But definitely, it's doable. I started the process. I got level 1, which is I worked on the back end for login. Then there's the other parts of it, which is of course handling the notifications from PayPal that I got money for a person. Then of course there's the what else? Oh, the creation of the accounts. Those are the two big things I still have to do. And then of course then I have to rejigger things when it comes to PayPal. I forget where that's set up, whether it's actually in PayPal itself. Because I think I have it set up so that in PayPal it actually goes to the SFU Online website, and then it will, if it's a Starfleet Warlord transaction, then it redirects it to Starfleet Warlord website. But anyhow, with that, I am Paul Franz, and I bid you a good night.